3 days passed like slow water dripping from a broken pipe. Each hour felt longer than the last. Tay and Hannah worked hard. They visited every trader who would talk to them. They asked questions. They listened carefully. They tried to learn. Most species ignored them. Some laughed at them. A few were kind enough to explain basic things, like how to read price tags and where to find clean water. But nobody wanted to do business with them. Not yet. Maybe not ever. "We need to go to the cantina," Hannah said on the third morning. Tay was eating something that looked like dried meat. It tasted like cardboard. Why? "Because that is where deals happen," Hannah said. "I talked to a Velian merchant yesterday. She told me that the real business does not happen in the shops. It happens in the cantina on level 42. That is where traders meet. That is where trust is built." Tay chewed slowly. He did not like crowded places. He did not like alcohol. He did not like making small talk with strangers. But Hannah was right. They needed to do something different. Their current plan was not working. "Fine," he said. "Tonight." The cantina was called the Silver Moon. Nobody knew why. There was no silver. There was no moon. There was just a large room filled with smoke, noise, and creatures from dozens of different worlds. Tay and Hannah stood at the entrance. The smell hit them first. It was a mix of 100 different foods, drinks, and body odors. Some of it was pleasant. Most of it was not. "Are you ready?" Hannah asked. "No," Tay said. "Let's go." They walked inside. The room was packed. Tables and chairs of different sizes filled every corner. Some seats were designed for creatures with 4 legs. Some were designed for creatures with no legs at all. In one corner, a group of beings floated in tanks of green liquid, drinking through tubes. The bar stretched across the back wall. A massive creature stood behind it, serving drinks with 6 muscular arms. It had the body of a bear and the head of something Tay had never seen before. Its eyes were small and angry. They found a small table near the wall. The chairs were too big for them, but they managed to climb up and sit down. A server came over. It was a thin creature with silver scales and a long tail. "What do you want?" it asked. Its voice was bored. "What can humans drink?" Tay asked. The server looked at them with something like pity. "Water. Maybe some filtered juice. Anything else will kill you." "2 waters," Hannah said. The server walked away without another word. Tay looked around the room. He saw Norians in expensive clothes, talking quietly in a corner. He saw Velians with their 4 arms, playing some kind of card game. He saw creatures he did not recognize, doing things he did not understand. And then he saw the Dorax. They were impossible to miss. Each one was over 2 meters tall. Their skin was thick and gray, like stone. Their arms were as wide as tree trunks. Their faces were flat and brutal, with small eyes that seemed to hold nothing but anger. There were 5 of them. They sat at the biggest table in the center of the room. Everyone gave them space. Everyone avoided their eyes. Even the Norians, who feared nothing, kept their distance. "Dorax," Hannah said quietly. "I read about them. They come from a heavy gravity world. Their bones are 3 times denser than ours. Their muscles are built for crushing. They are the strongest species in this sector, and the most violent," Tay added. He had read about them too. The Dorax solved every problem with force. They did not negotiate. They did not compromise. They took what they wanted, and nobody stopped them. The server returned with 2 small glasses of water. Tay paid and took a sip. The water tasted strange, but at least it was wet. For the next hour, they watched and listened. They saw deals being made with handshakes and nods. They saw arguments that started hot and ended cold. They saw friendships and rivalries play out in small gestures and careful words. This was how business worked in the galaxy. Not in offices, not in formal meetings, but in crowded rooms filled with smoke and strangers. Tay was starting to relax. Maybe this would be okay. Maybe they could learn to fit in. And then the trouble started. One of the Dorax stood up. His name was Gore. Tay would learn that name later. Right now, he was just a mountain of gray muscle walking across the room. Gore was drunk. Even Tay could see that. The Dorax swayed slightly as he walked. His eyes were unfocused. His hands opened and closed like he was looking for something to grab. He was walking toward the bar. And Hannah was in his way. She did not see him coming. She had turned to talk to a Velian merchant at the next table. The Velian was explaining something about trade routes. Hannah was listening carefully, asking questions. Gore did not slow down. He did not go around her. He just walked forward, and when he reached her, he shoved. The force was incredible. Hannah flew out of her chair and crashed into the wall. Her glass of water shattered on the floor. The table flipped over. Everything happened in less than a second. The room went silent. Hannah lay on the ground for a moment. Then she pushed herself up slowly. Her arm was bleeding. A piece of glass had cut her. She looked at the blood with a strange expression. Then she looked at Gore. The Doric had not stopped. He was still walking toward the bar like nothing had happened. Like she was just a piece of furniture he had moved out of his way. Tay felt something change inside him. It was not anger. Not exactly. It was something older. Something deeper. A feeling that came from thousands of years of human history. A feeling that said, "No, this is not acceptable." He stood up. The room was still silent. Every eye watched him. They expected him to help his friend up and leave quietly. They expected him to do what prey does when it meets a predator. Run. Hide. Survive. Tay did not run. "Hey," he said. His voice was calm and clear. It cut through the silence like a knife. Gore stopped. He turned slowly. His small eyes found Tay. They narrowed. "Did you say something, little creature?" Gore asked. His voice was like rocks grinding together. "Yes," Tay said. "I did. You hurt my friend. You should apologize." The silence became deeper, heavier. Tay could feel the weight of it, pressing down on him. Then the Dorax at the table started to laugh. It was an ugly sound, like thunder mixed with breaking bones. Other creatures in the room joined in. The laughter spread like a wave, but Tay did not laugh. And Hannah, who had climbed back to her feet, did not laugh either. Gore walked toward Tay. Each step made the floor shake slightly. When he reached Tay, he leaned down until his face was only a few centimeters away. "Apologize?" Gore said. His breath smelled like rotten meat. "I do not apologize to insects. I crush them." Tay looked into those small, angry eyes. He saw nothing there. No intelligence. No mercy. No humanity. Just rage and hunger. "Then we have a problem," Tay said. Gor laughed again. But this time, there was something else in the sound. Confusion, maybe. Or curiosity. No prey had ever talked back to him before. "Do you want to die, human?" Gore asked. "Is that why you came here? To die in a bar on a station far from your home?" Tay thought about the question. He thought about Earth so far away. He thought about his family, who he had not seen in years. He thought about all the reasons he should be afraid. But fear was not what he felt. What he felt was something else entirely. "I came here to do business," Tay said. "But I will not let you hurt my friend without consequence. That is not who I am. That is not who we are." He pointed at the blood on Hannah's arm. It was still dripping onto the floor. "You drew first blood," Tay said. "Now you have a choice. Apologize and walk away. Or don't apologize and see what happens. The laughter in the room died. Something in Tay's voice made it die. Something that did not match his small body and soft skin. Something dangerous. Gor stood up straight. He looked at Tay for a long moment. Then he looked at Hana. Then he looked back at Tay. "You are crazy," Gor said. "Your species is insane." "Maybe," Tay said. "But I am still waiting for your answer." In the corner, Ambassador Kel watched with growing interest. The Norian had seen many things in its long life. It had seen wars and revolutions. It had seen empires rise and fall. But it had never seen anything like this. A creature with no weapons, no armor, and no chance of survival was standing up to a Doric warrior. And it was not bluffing. Kel could see it in the human's eyes. He meant every word. Perhaps, Kel thought, we have misjudged these humans. Gor was thinking too. His drunk mind was trying to process what was happening. In his entire life, no one had ever stood up to him like this. Everyone ran. Everyone begged. Everyone gave him what he wanted. But this human did none of those things. "You want an apology?" Gor said slowly. "Yes. Then come and take it from me." Gor raised his massive fist. It was the size of Tay's head. One hit from that fist could break every bone in Tay's body. One hit could end everything. The room held its breath. Tay did not move. He did not blink. He just stood there, looking up at the monster in front of him. "If that is how it has to be," he said, "then that is how it will be." And somewhere deep inside the human, something ancient woke up. Something that had been sleeping since the days when humans hunted mammoths with wooden spears. Something that had been waiting for this moment. The fight was about to begin. The Norian looked at the two humans on the floor. It looked at the 5 Dorax, 4 standing in shame and 1 unconscious. It looked at the destruction around the room. Yet these humans woke up in a white room. The ceiling was smooth and curved. Soft lights glowed from somewhere he could not see. The air smelled clean. Too clean. Like it had been scrubbed of everything that made air interesting. He tried to move. Pain shot through his entire body. He stopped trying to move. "You're awake," a voice said. Tay turned his head slowly. Hannah sat in a chair next to his bed. Her arm was wrapped in bandages. Her face had several cuts and bruises. But she was smiling. "How long?" Tay asked. His voice was rough. 2 days, Hannah said. "The doctors said, you should have been in a coma for a week. Your body had 17 fractures. Your organs were bruised. You lost a lot of blood." Tay processed this information. "But I'm awake." "Yes, the doctors are very confused. They keep saying humans should not heal this fast." Tay laughed. It hurt, but he laughed anyway. "They don't know us very well." "No," Hannah agreed. "They don't, but they are learning." She helped him sit up. Every movement was painful, but the pain was becoming more manageable. His body was already putting itself back together. A door slid open. A creature entered. It was the same species as the one at the registration desk. Gray skin, long arms, a face like stone. But this one wore white clothes with medical symbols on them. "You should not be sitting up," the doctor said. "Your ribs are not fully healed." "I feel fine," Tay said. "You feel wrong. Human pain receptors are strange. They do not report damage accurately. You could be dying and still feel fine." Tay smiled. "That sounds about right." The doctor made a noise that might have been frustration. It checked some readings on a screen next to the bed. It pressed some buttons. It made more frustrated noises. "Your body is healing faster than our models predicted," the doctor said. "We do not understand how." "We are stubborn," Hannah said. "Even our cells are stubborn. The doctor looked at her. Then it looked at Tay. Then it shook its head and walked out of the room. "We have been getting a lot of visitors," Hana said after the doctor left. "Species who never talked to us before are suddenly very interested in meeting humans." "What kind of species?" "All kinds. Merchants, politicians, military types. Everyone wants to know more about the creatures who fought 5 Dorax and survived." Tay closed his eyes. The memory of the fight was still fresh. The pain, the fear, the moment when he thought he was going to die. "We almost didn't survive," he said quietly. "But we did," Hana replied. "And that is what matters. Nobody cares about almost. They only care about results." Another visitor came later that day. Ambassador Kel entered the room without knocking. The Norian moved with its usual grace, each step perfectly controlled. It stopped at the foot of Tay's bed and looked down at him. "Human," Kel said. "Norian," Tay replied. They stared at each other for a moment. Then Kel did something unexpected. The alien pulled a chair close to the bed and sat down. It had never sat in Tay's presence before. It was a sign of equality. "I owe you an apology," Kel said. Tay blinked. He had not expected that. "When you first arrived," Kel continued, "I thought you were weak. I thought your species was a mistake of evolution. Small, soft, no natural weapons. I did not understand how you had survived long enough to reach the stars. And now?" Tay asked. Kel's mandibles clicked together. It was a sign of deep thought. "Now I think I was looking at the wrong things. I was looking at your bodies. I should have been looking at your minds." Kel leaned forward. Its eyes were intense. "In the cantina, you stood up to Gore. You knew you could not win. Your body told you that you could not win. Every piece of logic said that you could not win. But you stood up anyway. Why?" Tay thought about the question. It was a good question. The kind of question that deserved a real answer. "Because winning is not always the point," he said finally. "Sometimes the point is showing that you are willing to fight. Sometimes the point is proving that you are not prey. Even if you lose, even if you die, you can still prove something important. And what is that? That hurting us has a cost. That taking from us has a price. Even if we cannot stop you, we can make you bleed. We can make you remember." Kel was silent for a long moment. "That is a dangerous philosophy," the Norian said. "Yes," Tay agreed. "It is, but it is also why humans are still alive. In our history, we have faced many enemies. Bigger enemies. Stronger enemies. Enemies with more weapons and more soldiers. We should have lost 1,000 times. But we didn't. Because our enemies always had to ask themselves the same question. Is it worth it?" Tay pointed at his broken body. "Look at me," he said. "I am lying in a medical bed with 17 fractures. I almost died. But Gore is lying in a bed somewhere too. And the next time someone thinks about pushing a human around, they will remember what happened. They will remember that it cost something." Kel stood up. The Norian walked to the window and looked out at the station. Ships moved in the distance. Life continued as normal. "My species has lived among the stars for over 50,000 years, Kel said. "We have seen many species come and go. Most of them are forgotten now. Their names are lost. Their achievements are dust. Do you know why? Because they were conquered?" Tay guessed. "No. Because they were not remembered. They did nothing that made the galaxy pay attention. They lived quiet lives, made quiet deals, and died quietly. The universe moved on without them." Kel turned back to face Tay. "But the galaxy will remember humans. After what happened in that cantina, everyone is talking about you. Not because you won. Not because you lost. But because you fought in a way that nobody expected. You showed the galaxy something new. And what did we show them? Cal's mandibles clicked again. When the Norian spoke, there was something new in its voice. Something that might have been admiration. You showed them that small does not mean weak. You showed them that soft skin can hide a hard spirit. You showed them that humans do not give up, do not surrender, and do not die quietly. The galaxy has seen many warriors, but it has never seen anything like you. The Norian moved toward the door. Then it stopped and looked back. I came here to assess whether humans were worth doing business with. I thought you would fail. I thought you would prove that your species was not ready for the galactic stage. And now? Tay asked again. Kel smiled. At least, it looked like a smile. It was hard to tell with Norian faces. Now I think the galaxy is not ready for you. After Kel left, more visitors came. A Velian merchant offered Tay a trade deal. A creature Tay did not recognize offered him a job. Even one of the Dorax from the fight came to see him. It was not Gore. It was one of the others. The one who had walked away first. I wanted to see if you were real, Todoric said. It stood awkwardly near the door, too big for the room. I'm real, Tay said. I thought maybe it was a trick. Maybe some kind of technology that made you stronger. Some kind of drug. No tricks. No drugs. Just human. The Dorak shook its massive head. We are taught from birth that we are the strongest. That our bodies are gifts from the gods. That nothing in the universe can match Doric power. The creature looked at its own hands. But you are not even half my size. You have no armor. No natural weapons. Nothing. And you almost killed Gore. I got lucky, Tay said. No. The Dorak's voice was firm. I watched the fight. I saw everything. You were not lucky. You were something else. Something I do not have a word for. Desperate, Hana suggested from her chair. The Dorak looked at her. What does that mean? It means we had nothing to lose. It means we were fighting not because we thought we could win, but because we could not accept losing. It means we were willing to die rather than be pushed around. The Dorak thought about this. Then it nodded slowly. Desperate, it repeated. I think I understand. We Doraks have never felt desperate. We have always been the strongest. We have never had to fight like we had nothing to lose. Maybe that's your weakness, Tay said. The Dorak laughed. It was a strange sound coming from such a massive creature. Maybe, it agreed. I will think about this. It turned to leave. At the door, it paused. Gore wants to kill you, it said. He's angry and ashamed. When you leave this medical center, he will come for you. Tay nodded. He had expected this. Thank you for the warning. I am not warning you. I am just telling you. What you do with this information is your choice. The Dorak left. Tay and Hana sat in silence for a while. We should leave the station, Hana said finally. We did what we came to do. We made contacts. We showed the galaxy who we are. Now we should go home before Gore finds us. Tay shook his head. No. If we run, everything we did means nothing. They will say humans only fight when they have no choice. They will say humans run when the real danger comes. Tay, you can barely walk. If Gore attacks now, then I will fight him again. And if I die, at least I will die standing up. Hana stared at him. Then she laughed. It was a tired laugh, full of pain and exhaustion. You know, she said, sometimes I think you really are insane. Maybe, Tay agreed. But that's what makes us human. Outside the medical center, the station continued to buzz with activity. But something was different now. When aliens talked, they often mentioned the humans. The small creatures who fought Doraks. The soft-skinned things that did not know how to give up. The story was spreading. And with it, humanity's reputation in the G. 1 week after the fight, Tay finally left the medical center. His body was still healing. His ribs were wrapped in special bandages that the doctors had never used on a human before. They did not know if they would work. Nothing about humans seemed to follow the normal rules. He walked slowly through the station. Hannah stayed close beside him. Her injuries had healed faster than his. She said it was because she was tougher. He said it was because she had let him take most of the hits. They both knew the truth was somewhere in between. The station felt different now. Before the fight, aliens had ignored them. Now they watched. Some with curiosity, some with respect, some with fear. A young Velian child pointed at them as they passed. The child's mother quickly pulled the small hand down and whispered something. Tay caught the words human and dangerous. "I'm not sure how I feel about that," he said. "About what?" "Children being scared of us." Hannah shrugged. "Better than being ignored. At least now they pay attention." They made their way to the trade district. The shops were busy as always. Vendors called out prices. Customers argued about quality. But when Tay and Hannah walked past, conversations paused. Eyes followed them. Whispers spread like wind through grass. The Silver Moon Cantina had been repaired. New tables. New chairs. New floors to replace the ones that had cracked during the fight. But the memories remained. Everyone who entered that place remembered what had happened there. Tay and Hannah did not go inside. They stood at the entrance for a moment, looking at the door. "Should we?" Hannah asked. "Not today," Tay said. "Too many memories." They found a quiet corner in a small food court. The same vendor with blue fur and 8 arms was there. When it saw them, its eyes went wide. "You," it said. "You are the humans from the fight." "We are," Tay said. The vendor was silent for a moment. Then it reached under its counter and pulled out 2 bowls of soup. The soup was different from before. It was lighter in color and smelled better. "On the house," the vendor said. "I made this especially for human stomachs." "No charge." Tay was surprised. "Thank you. You earned it. When you stood up to those Dorax, you reminded me of something I had forgotten." "What is that?" The vendor's many arms moved in a pattern that Tay now recognized as emotion. "That size is not everything. That courage matters more than strength. My species was once like yours. Small, weak, pushed around by bigger creatures. We forgot that somewhere along the way. We learned to accept being bullied. We learned to keep our heads down and survive." The vendor leaned closer. "But watching you fight reminded me that we do not have to accept it. We do not have to let the strong push us around. We can stand up. We can say no. Even if we lose, we can still say no." Tay took the soup. It was warm in his hands. "I didn't mean to inspire anyone," he said. "That is why you did," the vendor replied. They ate in silence. The soup was good. Better than good. It tasted like home somehow, even though it was made of ingredients that had never existed on Earth. When they finished, they continued walking. The station was large. They had only explored a small part of it. There was still so much to see. As they walked, Tay noticed something strange. Dorax were following them. Not attacking, just following, keeping their distance. "They're waiting for Gore," Hannah said quietly. "They want to see what happens. Then let's not make them wait." Tay stopped walking. He turned around. The Dorax stopped too. There were 6 of them now. More than before. Word had spread that Gore was going to have his revenge. They had come to watch. Among them was Gore. The Dorak warrior looked different now. His face had healed, but there were new lines around his eyes. Lines of shame. Lines of anger. Lines of something else that Tay could not identify. Gore pushed through the crowd and stood in front of Tay. The distance between them was only a few meters. Close enough to attack. Close enough to kill. "Human," Gore said. His voice was quieter than before. "Dorak," Tay replied. The station seemed to hold its breath. Everyone was watching. Word had spread fast. Hundreds of aliens had gathered to see what would happen. "You should have left," Gore said. "You should have run while you could. Now I will finish what I started." Tay did not move. His body was still broken. His ribs screamed with every breath. He had no chance of winning this fight. They both knew it. "I don't run," Tay said simply. "Then you will die. Maybe. But I will die on my feet." Gore's hands curled into fists. His muscles tensed. The crowd pulled back, making room for the violence that was about to happen. And then something unexpected occurred. A voice rang out across the crowd. A familiar voice. Ambassador Kel stepped forward, pushing through the gathered aliens. "Enough," Kel said. Gor turned. "This is not your business, Norian. I am making it my business." Kel stood between Gore and Tay. The Norian was tall, almost as tall as Gore, but much thinner. "You have already lost once. Do you really want to lose again?" "I will not lose. The human is broken. He cannot fight. Then why do you need to fight him?" Kel asked. "What honor is there in killing a wounded enemy? What glory comes from destroying someone who can barely stand?" Gore hesitated. His fists trembled. "If you kill him now," Kel continued, "the galaxy will not remember your victory. They will remember your shame. They will say Gore was so weak that he had to attack a wounded human to win. Is that the story you want told about you?" The crowd murmured. Kel's words were hitting home. Dorak culture valued honor above all else. And there was no honor in this. Gore looked at Tay. The human had not moved. He was still standing, still waiting, still ready to fight even though he could not win. "Why?" Gore asked suddenly. His voice was different now. Confused. Lost. "Why do you not fear death? Why do you stand there like you have already won? I do not understand your species. I do not understand you." Tay took a slow breath. The pain in his ribs flared, but he ignored it. "We fear death," he said. "Every human fears death. But we fear other things more." "What things?" "Living without dignity. Lying without meaning. Letting people hurt us without consequence." Tay met Gore's eyes. "You could kill me right now. You could break every bone in my body. But you cannot take my pride. You cannot make me kneel. You cannot make me beg. That is something you will never be strong enough to do." Gore stared at him. The anger in his eyes was changing. It was becoming something else. Something that might have been understanding. "You really are insane," Gore said. "We prefer the word determined." For a long moment, nothing happened. The crowd waited. Kel waited. Hannah waited. Then Gore did something that shocked everyone. He laughed. It started small, just a rumble in his chest. Then it grew louder. His whole body shook with laughter. The other Doraks looked at each other in confusion. "Determined," Gore repeated. "Yes, I think that is the right word." He lowered his fists. The tension in his body released. When he spoke again, his voice was different, softer, almost respectful. "I have fought many creatures in my life. I have defeated enemies twice my size. I have crushed armies and broken empires. But I have never met anything like you, human. You should be dead. By every law of the universe, you should be dead. But you are not. And I think that means something." He looked at his fellow Doraks. "Go home," he told them. "The fight is over." They did not argue. They turned and walked away. The crowd began to disperse too. disappointed that there was no more violence, but somehow satisfied anyway. Soon it was just Gore, Tay, Hannah, and Kel standing in the middle of the empty corridor. "You have earned my respect, human," Gore said. "I do not give that easily. I do not give it often. But you have earned it." He extended his massive hand. It was a human gesture. Someone must have taught him. Tay reached out and took the hand. Gore's grip was gentle. The Doric could have crushed his fingers without effort, but he did not. "If you ever need help," Gore said, "the Doric people will answer. You have proven yourself. You are worthy of alliance." Then the giant warrior turned and walked away. His heavy footsteps echoed through the corridor until they faded into silence. Tay let out a breath he did not know he was holding. His legs were shaking. His vision was blurry. He had pushed his body past its limits just by standing still. Hannah caught him before he fell. "You stupid, brave fool," she said. But she was smiling. Kel watched them with something that might have been amusement. "You have done something remarkable, humans," the Norian said. "In less than 2 weeks, you have changed the way the entire galaxy sees your species. You have made allies out of enemies. You have earned respect from those who respect nothing." "We didn't plan any of this," Tay said weakly. "I know. That is what makes it so impressive. You did not follow a strategy. You did not calculate advantages. You simply acted according to your nature. And your nature, it seems, is to never give up." Kel helped Hannah support Tay. Together, they began walking back toward the docking bay where the human ship waited. "Word of this will spread," Kel said, "to every corner of the galaxy. Every species will hear about the humans who fought Dorax and lived. Every civilization will learn that humans are not prey. They are something else entirely. What will they learn?" Hannah asked. Kel was quiet for a moment. When the Norian spoke, there was weight in every word. "They will learn that humans are relentless. That you feel pain but fight through it. That you know fear but stand against it. That you can be broken but never defeated. The galaxy has seen many warriors. It has seen many conquerors." Gore's fist came down like a hammer falling from the sky. It was fast. Faster than something that big should be. The air made a sound as it moved out of the way. Tay was not there when it landed. He had moved. Not backward, like everyone expected, but forward, toward Gore. Into the space between the Dorac's arm and body. It was a simple trick. One of the first things humans learned when they were small and weak and the world was full of things that wanted to eat them. When something big attacks, do not run away from it. Run toward it. Get close. Stay where it cannot reach you. Gore's fist hit the floor. The impact cracked the metal. The whole room shook. Tay did not waste the moment. His elbow came up hard and fast. It hit Gore under the chin. The Dorac's head snapped back. It was not enough to hurt him. Not really. Gore's bones were too dense. His muscles were too thick. But it was enough to surprise him. And surprise was the first weapon in any fight. Gore roared. The sound was so loud that glasses shattered on nearby tables. He swung his other arm in a wide arc, trying to catch Tay in a sweeping blow. Tay dropped to the floor. The arm passed over his head, missing by centimeters. He rolled between Gore's legs and came up behind him. From her position near the wall, Hannah watched. Her arm was still bleeding, but she had stopped noticing the pain. All she could see was Tay, moving like water around a rock. He was so much smaller than Gore, so much weaker. But he was faster, and he was smarter. Tay kicked the back of Gore's knee. It was a weak spot. Every creature had weak spots, no matter how strong they were. The knee bent. Gore stumbled. But he did not fall. He was too strong to fall. Gor spun around. His eyes were full of rage now. Real rage. The kind that makes creatures do stupid things. "I will break you," Gore said. "I will break every bone in your body. I will." He did not finish the sentence, because Hannah hit him in the back of the head with a chair. She had picked it up while everyone was watching Tay. It was a heavy chair, made of solid metal, designed for creatures much bigger than her. She could barely lift it, but she did lift it, and she swung it with everything she had. The chair broke. The pieces flew across the room. Gore stumbled forward, off balance, and then the other Dorax joined the fight. They came off their table like a wave. 4 mountains of gray muscle moving together. They were not drunk like Gore. They were angry. Their friend had been humiliated by insects. They could not allow that. The first one reached Hannah. He grabbed her by the throat and lifted her off the ground. Her feet kicked in the air. She could not breathe. Tay saw it happen. Something changed in his face. The calm focus was replaced by something else. Something that the aliens in the room had never seen before. It was fury, not the hot, stupid rage that Gore had. This was different. This was cold, controlled, directed. Tay ran at the Dorak holding Hannah. He jumped onto a table, used it to launch himself into the air, and drove his knee into the Dorak's face. The impact was brutal. The Dorak's grip loosened. Hannah fell to the ground, gasping for air, but Tay did not stop. He landed on the Dorak's shoulders and wrapped his arms around its thick neck. He squeezed. The Dorak reached up to grab him. Its hands found his body and started to pull. The pressure was incredible. Tay could feel his ribs bending. His arms were being torn from their sockets. The pain was beyond anything he had ever felt. He did not let go. He squeezed harder. The Dorak's movements became slower. Its grip became weaker. Without air, even the strongest creature would fall. But before the Dorak could pass out, another one grabbed Tay from behind and threw him across the room. Tay hit a table. The table broke. He rolled across the floor and crashed into the wall. Every part of his body screamed in pain. He was pretty sure something was broken. Maybe several somethings. He got up anyway. The room watched in shock. Nobody got up after being thrown like that. Nobody should be able to get up after being thrown like that. But Tay was standing, his body bent slightly, his face twisted in pain, but standing. "What are you?" one of the Doraks asked. There was something in its voice. Not fear, not yet, but confusion. Deep confusion. Tay did not answer. He could not answer. He needed all his energy to breathe. Hannah answered for him. She had found another chair. This one was lighter, easier to swing. "We are human," she said. And she attacked. She moved differently than Tay. Where he was precise and careful, she was wild and unpredictable. Her chair swung in strange angles. Her body twisted in ways the Doraks could not follow. She was not stronger than them. She was not faster than them. But she was creative. And creativity was something the Doraks did not understand. She hit one Dorak in the knee. When it bent down, she hit it in the face. When another tried to grab her, she ducked under its arms and hit it in the ribs. The chair bent. She kept swinging with the bent chair. Tay rejoined the fight. His body did not want to move. Every step sent waves of pain through his chest. But he made it move anyway. Pain was just information. Information could be ignored. He and Hannah fought back to back. The Doraks circled them like wolves. But these wolves were confused. Their prey was not acting like prey. Their prey was not running. Their prey was fighting back with a ferocity that made no sense. One Dorak charged at Tay. Tay grabbed the broken table leg and swung it like a club. The first hit did nothing. The second did nothing. The third cracked against the Dorak's temple, and the massive creature staggered. Another Dorak grabbed Hannah. She bit its arm. Her teeth were not sharp. They were not designed for biting through thick skin. But she bit anyway, and she did not stop biting even when the Dorak screamed and shook her. Human jaws were strong, stronger than they looked. A product of millions of years of eating whatever they could find. The Dorak threw her away. She hit the floor, rolled, and came up with blood on her mouth. The Dorak's blood. "You are insane," Gore shouted. He had recovered from the chair to his head. He was angrier than ever. "You cannot win. You know you cannot win. Why do you keep fighting?" Tay laughed. It was a painful laugh. Blood was dripping from a cut on his forehead, and his ribs were definitely broken now. "Because that is what we do," he said. "We fight. We do not stop. We do not give up. You can break every bone in our bodies, and we will still keep fighting. That is what it means to be human." He raised his fists. They were trembling. His body was failing. He had maybe a few minutes left before he collapsed, but a few minutes was enough. The Doraks looked at each other. Something was happening that had never happened before. They were hesitating. "You feel that?" Hannah said. She was smiling. It was a terrible smile, full of blood and broken teeth. "That feeling in your stomach? That uncertainty? That is what happens when you fight something that does not know how to stop." One of the Doraks took a step back. It was a small step, but it was a step. Tay saw it. Hannah saw it. And somewhere in the corner, Ambassador Kell saw it too. The Doraks were afraid, not of losing. They could still win. They could still crush these two small humans into paste. But they were afraid of what it would cost. They were afraid of what they would have to endure to win. Because humans did not fight to win. They fought to hurt. They fought to make their enemies bleed. Even when they lost, they made sure their enemies remembered the fight forever. Gore looked at Tay. The human was barely standing. His face was covered in blood. His arms hung at his sides. He was broken in a dozen different ways, but his eyes were still burning. "This is not worth it," one of the Doraks said. "They're just two creatures. Let them go." "No," Gore said. "They challenged us. They must die." "Then you kill them," the Dorak replied. "I am done." It walked away. Then another walked away. Then a third. Gore stood alone. His 4 friends had abandoned him. His pride was destroyed. His reputation was ruined. He looked at Tay. Tay looked back. "We can stop now," Tay said. His voice was weak. "Walk away. Forget this happened. Nobody else needs to get hurt." It was a generous offer. More generous than Gore deserved. Gor knew it. Everyone in the room knew it. For a long moment, nothing happened. The room was frozen. Then Gore made his choice. He charged at Tay with a roar that shook the walls. This was it. The final attack. All of his strength, all of his rage, focused into one devastating blow. Tay did not run. He did not dodge. He could not. His body was too broken. Instead, he stepped forward. Into the charge. Into the death that was coming for him. And at the last moment, he moved his head. Gore's fist missed by millimeters. The force of the swing carried the Dorak forward, off balance. Tay's hand shot up. His fingers found Gore's throat. They pressed against a specific spot. A spot that every creature had. A spot that controlled blood flow to the brain. He squeezed. Gore's eyes went wide. His hands grabbed at Tay's arm. But his movements were already slowing. His strength was fading. 5 seconds passed. 10 seconds. Gore fell to his knees. 15 seconds. 20. Gore collapsed on the floor, unconscious. The room was silent. Absolutely silent. Tay let go of Gore's throat. He stood over the fallen giant, swaying on his feet. "I asked for an apology," he said. His voice was barely a whisper now. "But I will accept this instead. Then his legs gave out, and he collapsed next to his enemy. Hana rushed to his side. She felt for a pulse. It was there. Weak, but there. "He needs a doctor," she shouted. "Now!" Nobody moved. They were all too shocked, too confused, too afraid. Then Ambassador Kell stepped forward. The ship was small. That was the first thing everyone noticed. Among the massive cruisers and elegant trade vessels that floated near Station Velanine, the human ship looked like a metal box with engines attached to it. It had no beautiful curves. It had no glowing lights that changed colors. It was gray, scratched, and covered in burn marks from years of travel through dangerous space. Inside that ugly little ship sat two humans. Captain Tay pressed his face against the cold window and looked at the station. His breath made fog on the glass. He wiped it away with his sleeve and looked again. "It's bigger than I thought," he said. Hana sat behind him. She was checking her tools one more time. She always checked her tools. As the ship's engineer, she believed that a good engineer never stopped checking. She looked up from her work and moved to the window. "Everything out here is bigger than we thought," she said. "Remember when we first saw a Norian ship? You almost fell out of your chair." Tay laughed. It was true. The first alien ship they had ever seen was the size of a small city. He had never felt so small in his entire life. "That was different," he said. "I was not ready. And now you are ready?" Tay thought about it. He scratched the back of his head. His hair was getting too long. He needed to cut it soon. "No," he admitted. "But we don't have a choice. We are here. We have to go inside." Station Velanine was not just any space station. It was the center of galactic trade. Ships from 100 different species came here every day. They bought things. They sold things. They made deals that could change the future of entire planets. For 200 years, this station had been the heart of commerce in this part of the galaxy. And humans had never been allowed inside. Until now, the message had come 3 months ago. The Galactic Council had finally agreed to let humans join the trade network. It was a small step, but it was the first step. Tay and Hana were chosen to represent their species. They were not politicians. They were not rich. They were just two people who had spent their lives traveling through space, fixing their ship and surviving. Maybe that was why they were chosen. Politicians smiled too much. Rich people expected too much. But Tay and Hana expected nothing. They were ready for anything. The docking process took longer than expected. The station's computer did not recognize their ship's signal. It took almost an hour for the technicians to figure out how to let them in. When the docking clamps finally grabbed their ship, Tay let out a long breath. "Here we go," he said. The airlock door opened with a hiss. Cold air rushed into the ship. It smelled strange. Not bad, just different. Like metal and flowers and something Tay could not name. They stepped out onto the docking platform. The ceiling was so high that Tay could not see it. The walls were covered in screens that showed advertisements in languages he did not understand. Thousands of creatures walked past them, moving in all directions. Some had 4 legs. Some had 6. Some floated in the air. Some crawled on the walls. Nobody looked at them. Nobody cared about the 2 small humans standing at the edge of the platform. They were just 2 more visitors in a station full of visitors. "Which way?" Hana asked. Tay pulled out a small device. It was supposed to help them navigate the station. The screen showed a map, but everything was written in alien symbols. "I think left," he said. They turned left. They walked for a long time. The hallways twisted and turned. The gravity changed slightly every few minutes. Sometimes they felt heavy. Sometimes they felt light. It made Tay's stomach feel strange. After 20 minutes, they found the registration office. A tall creature sat behind a desk. It had gray skin, long arms, and a face that looked like it was made of stone. Two small eyes studied the humans as they approached. "Purpose of visit?" the creature asked. Its voice was deep and slow. "Trade delegation," Tay said. "We received permission from the Galactic Council." The creature looked at its screen. It pressed some buttons. It looked at the screen again. It pressed more buttons. Then it looked at Tay. "Humans," it said. The word sounded strange coming from its mouth. "You are the first." "Yes," Tay said. "We are." The creature made a sound. Tay was not sure if it was a laugh or a cough. "Small," the creature said. "Very small. No armor, no weapons, no protection of any kind." "We don't need armor," Hana said. Her voice was calm and steady. "We are not here to fight." The creature stared at her for a long moment. Then it pressed another button and handed them 2 cards. "These will give you access to the trade district," it said. "Do not go to the restricted areas. Do not start any conflicts. Do not touch anything that glows red. The station is not responsible for your safety." Tay took the cards. "Thank you. One more thing," the creature said. "Many species here do not like newcomers. Be careful. Humans have no friends in this station." They walked away from the desk. Tay could feel eyes on his back. He did not turn around. The trade district was alive with activity. Shops lined both sides of a wide street. Vendors called out prices. Customers argued about quality. It was chaos, but it was organized chaos. Everyone seemed to know exactly where they were going and what they were doing. Tay and Hannah stopped at a small food stall. They were hungry. The journey had been long, and the food on their ship was almost gone. "What can I eat?" Tay asked the vendor. It was a short creature with blue fur and 8 arms. Each arm was doing something different. One was cooking. One was serving. One was counting money. The others were doing things Tay could not understand. "You are human?" the vendor asked. "Yes. I have nothing for you. Human stomach is weak. Everything here will make you sick." Hannah stepped forward. "We have eaten alien food before. Just give us something simple." The vendor looked at her. Then it shrugged with 4 of its arms and handed them 2 bowls of thick soup. The soup was green and smelled like burned wood. 50 credits, the vendor said. Tay paid. They found a corner where they could stand and eat. The soup tasted terrible, but they were too hungry to care. As they ate, Tay noticed someone watching them. A tall figure stood across the street. It had smooth purple skin, long thin legs, and a head that was shaped like a triangle. It wore expensive-looking clothes decorated with gold symbols. "That is a Norian," Hana said quietly. "I recognize the markings." Tay nodded. The Norians were one of the most powerful species in the galaxy. They controlled most of the trade routes in this sector. They were also known for being proud and difficult. The Norian walked toward them. Its steps were slow and deliberate. Each movement was perfectly controlled. When it reached them, it stopped and looked down at them. "You are the humans," it said. Its voice was smooth like music. "Yes," Tay said. "I am Tay. This is Hana." "I am Kel," the Norian said. "I am the trade ambassador for the Norian Empire. I heard that humans were coming. I wanted to see for myself. And what do you see?" Hana asked. El studied them for a long moment. Its eyes moved up and down, examining every detail of their bodies. "I see 2 small creatures," Kel said. "Soft skin. No natural weapons. No claws. No armor plates. No venom. You have nothing that would help you survive in a dangerous universe." I do not understand how your species is still alive. Tay felt anger rise in his chest, but he pushed it down. He needed to stay calm. We survive because we work together, he said. We help each other. We never give up. Kel made a sound that might have been a laugh. Every species says that. Every species believes they are special. But most species are wrong. The universe does not care about hope or friendship. The universe only cares about strength. And you have no strength. The Norian turned and walked away. It did not say goodbye. It did not look back. Hannah watched it go. I don't like that one, she said. Neither do I, Tay said. But we have to work with them. We have no choice. They finished their soup and threw away the bowls. The rest of the day was spent exploring the station. They visited shops. They talked to vendors. They tried to understand how business worked in this strange place. By the time they returned to their ship, they were exhausted. Tay sat down heavily in his chair. His feet hurt. His head hurt. Everything hurt. What do you think? Hannah asked. She was lying on the floor, staring at the ceiling. I think we have a lot of work to do, Tay said. Nobody here respects us. Nobody here trusts us. We are starting from zero. Less than zero, Hannah said. They think we are weak. They think we are prey. Tay closed his eyes. He thought about Kel's words. Small, soft, no strength. Then we will have to show them something different, he said. What? Tay did not answer. He was already asleep. Outside, the station continued to move. Ships came and went. Deals were made. Fortunes were won and lost. Nobody paid attention to the small gray ship in Docking Bay 7. Nobody thought about the two humans sleeping inside. But things were about to change. Because in 3 days, something would happen in a small cantina on level 42. Something that would make every species in the galaxy remember the name of the humans. Something that would make them afraid.